Hi, everyone. This is Rev Kymmi. Thank you so much for joining us.
And I'm Dr. G.
Greetings to our listeners across the United States. You know, our podcast is only 3 months old, guys. And we have been heard in almost every state, as well as in over 20 countries. So I want to say hello to some of the states. Hello, Louisiana, Washington, Utah, Wisconsin, Texas, Indiana, Florida, and New York.
Yes, and I gave a big shout out to all our international listeners in episode 9, and this is episode 10. So I'm going to give you a couple more. We are in over 20 countries, between all of the different ways that you can listen to us. iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple, Spotify, you name it. We're out there. You can find us. YouTube. And we have listeners in Bangladesh, Pakistan, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, Saudi Arabia, Canada, and the UK.
You know, I just want to share, of course, we're Christian reverends, so I just want to share a Bible verse, which goes hand in hand with this particular case of the behind the scenes of Harmony Montgomery. Ephesians 5:11 says, "Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them." And that is exactly what God uses me for, to tip off law enforcement with my prophetic Christian Reverend ministry gifts.
Yes, so welcome to Season 1, Episode 10, Harmony Montgomery, Behind the Scenes. And Rev Kymmi, can you? This is such a sad story, truly. I remember when I first saw a picture of this poor young baby. My goodness. I consider myself be pretty tough on some things, but just one look at this child, and I was so struck. How did you become involved in this case?
Well, you did, wasn't it from you? You're the one who told me about it. You saw it, in the news headlines?
Yeah, I don't recall how I saw it, but yeah, I probably did share it with you. I mean,
no, you did, because it's in
really
my text
moved me
messages to the police. Yeah,
girl.
Yeah. No, it clearly says it in my text messages to the police chief on this case that I learned of Harmony Montgomery's missing situation from you.
Yeah, I tell you, folks, this poor little girl, she had it tough right from the get-go. She was blind in her right eye, and she has a weak eye, and she had to wear glasses to see. And, you can imagine how that would affect her learning ability. She was born on June 7th, 2014. She went missing in October 2019. It actually took several months before she was even reported missing. She was only 5 years old when she went missing.
Actually, Dr. G, she had been missing for a couple of years.
Yeah, when they finally
before
reported her.
the biological mother reported her missing.
Yeah. So she was raised, and it's a struggle. I mean, you can look at the timelines online. Her father was in and out of prison for various weapons offenses, and he somehow managed to get custody of her from the biological mother, and it looks like he had a girlfriend plus a new wife, and he ends up in charge of this poor child, and her brother was actually adopted out and raised by another couple. I mean, it's crazy. So we have this poor little girl who wears glasses. She has this visual disability. She's only 4 foot tall, weighs, about 50 pounds. I mean, she's just this really, really a child in need in just one big hug, and instead she ends up with this absolutely brutal father. I'm not going to go through all of the timeline, but if you want to check it out, there are some really good timelines out there. In particular, the one that's most recently published is by WMUR, and it's at WMUR.com. It's Channel 9 ABC, and you can find it online at WMUR.com article/Harmony-Montgomery-New Hampshire-father.murder and so forth. But it's an article by Amy Coveno, WMUR 9 ABC, dated October 25th. Excellent timeline. I suggest you read down through it to see just what this poor child had to endure. And anyway, I'll stop there. So the father was finally arrested. What can you tell us about that, Kymmi? He was arrested on October 24th. And two of the major players in this, I know that you were emailing back and forth to. One was the chief of police, a very good man, named Chief Aldenberg, Manchester, New Hampshire Police Department. And then there was also John Formula. He's the Attorney General for New Hampshire. And it said, I found in the news, that Adam Montgomery faced 4 new charges. Prior to that, he was on gun charges and a bunch of other stuff. But they finally got him.
Yeah, he was finally arrested, just 2 days ago?
Yep, a couple days ago.
Yes, thank God.
So now maybe this little baby can get some justice. All right, so we're going to go down through this timeline, folks, and we're only going to hit some highlights because, like I said, it's very detailed.
And you guys need to wait for it because I will share my tips. I'll read you my original text messages between myself and law enforcement on her case.
Yeah. The timeline starts in September 2014 when her dad, Adam Montgomery, pled guilty to charges of larceny and carrying a firearm without a license and some other things. And he was also alleged to have shot a man in the head. I mean, that should give you some insight right from the get-go. And they have some issues back and forth with the mother. I'm not going to go into great detail. The biological mother and substance abuse, and the father has substance abuse in his history. And it goes back and forth, and custody disputes and whatnot. And we get up to a period where the mom says, hey, where's my baby? I haven't seen her in a while. So they start backtracking, and they start looking at who's got her, where is she, and come to find out she's missing. Nobody can find her. They don't know where she is.
Yeah, the biological father and the stepmother are supposed to be in charge of her, right?
Yeah. So here it's
in their care.
Yeah. So here it is, December 31st, 2021, and detectives find the biological father, Adam Montgomery, living in his car with his new girlfriend. And police described him as uncooperative and refusing to provide information on Harmony's whereabouts. They also interviewed the stepmom, Kayla Montgomery, and they didn't get much further with her. So January 4th, 2022, the biological father is arrested and charged second-degree assault, but it's not for her murder. It's because an uncle or something that reported that the girl had a black eye. That this poor little Harmony had a black eye. So they arrest him for interference with custody and endangering the welfare of a child. Well, okay, so he's arrested. The stepmom is arrested in charge of felony welfare fraud because, like I said, they don't know where the child is.
Yeah, that was January 6, 2022.
January 6, 2022.
Yeah.
So now the stepmom, the father, the biological father, have been arrested, but not for the disappearance and murder of poor little Harmony. And along comes Rev Kymmi and the Holy Spirit and the gift of prophecy. I showed her this case. I was so moved. I was like, oh, Yeah, what is God telling you about this?
You know what?
And what was
I'm trying to
revealed?
think about it because that was we're in October 2022, just about November 1st, 2022, and I remember you brought the case to me. You showed it to me. You said, "Is there anything you can do on this case, Kim?" And so I jumped on it. Yeah, I hopped on it. So, do you want me to read my
sure.
first? Okay, so my first contact with the police chief there who's handling Harmony Montgomery's case in New Hampshire?
Yeah.
And so, do you want me to read my?
Yeah, Manchester, New Hampshire. Chief Aldenberg. Yep.
Excuse me. So it is January 12th, 2022, when I initially made contact with the police chief via text. I said, "Hi, Chief. I need an email to send you information regarding Montgomery, Harmony Montgomery, for your use. I'm a litigation and trial paralegal over 30 years in California at top law firms. I'm an ordained Christian reverend, and I use my ministry prophetic gifts to help law enforcement on missing person cases throughout America. My reference among law enforcement is blah, 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 because it's confidential. He is a major player at a large, major Los Angeles law enforcement agency, and I will not tell you who that person is because it's confidential." Then I said, "You can contact him if you want," and I gave him his email address. And then I referred him to my pinned video series of some success cases on my Facebook that you all can look at. I'm found as Kymmi, Kymmi, Bloomberg, BLOOMBERG, if you want to look at it. That's only some of the successful cases I've worked on. And so then I say, "I will put together details regarding what God is showing me to help you. Reply back with an email address so I can send it to you. Thanks, Rev Kymmi." Then I said my full name and the city and state so he can check me out or call my local sheriff's department.
Okay.
Right? So then he wrote back. They wrote back right away, the police department, and they said, "Hello. Any information regarding the case can be forwarded to this number. Thank you." So in other words, I'm not going to get an email. So it's okay. I just copy and pasted from like a Word document and just texted like long information to them.
Yeah.
So I wrote, okay, will do. We'll try to keep brief then. I will send today. I have led police to missing people a lot. And I said, "No, I do not see clear. I see clearly she is not," and I have "not" in caps, "alive. I will text details to help pin murderer, who is a male." Then he said, "Thank you." The police wrote me back, texted me back. And I said, "Welcome. I work pro bono with a focus to help victims, whether alive or dead. I help them."
So on January 12th, 2022, you've already told him that a male murdered her, that she is deceased.
Yes, I did right away. I haven't even done my prophetic analysis yet, but I know she's dead because the Lord is showing me this.
So my records indicate that about 15 days went by, and you're doing praise and worship and doing insight when you can, and praying.
Well, I didn't do that yet. I sent him more stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sending him my LinkedIn bio, because I'm working on a murder case, active murder case, right? Mm-hmm. Or missing person, right? They don't know. I know it's homicide. They don't yet. They believe at that point she's alive. People can go back, Google it, and look. January 2022, at the beginning, they thought she was alive at this time when I'm talking to them. Yeah. That's why I'm telling them, no, she's not.
Yeah, but then on January 27th, 2022, you sent them another...
Yeah, and after I wrote all this, they
analysis,
said, and I sent them LinkedIn, I give them all my background so they can check me out. And so, because I'm working, I know it's a homicide case. And they, I'm sure, are going to check everybody out who contacts them, right? Mm-hmm. So I give them ample information, who I am, LinkedIn, Facebook, everything, where I live, etc. And he writes back, "Thank you." And I wrote, "Welcome." And I said, here you guys go. I hope I can copy and paste it here in one text, because it was a Word document and I had to paste this big document into text messages.
Mm-hmm.
So, believe it or not, just a couple of hours, it was, let's see, an hour later, just 1 hour of working on her case, a little praise and worship, seeking the Lord's face, and seeking truth. I had already typed it up and sending it to them in the text the same day. On January 12th, 2022, at, let's see, what time is it? 4:38 p.m. You want me to read the prophetic analysis of this case?
Yeah.
You ready for that?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's kind of long. I title it Prophetic Analysis of Missing Person Case of Harmony Montgomery. And then I have in parentheses 2019. She's 5 years old in parentheses. I learned about this case today, January 12th, 2022, a couple hours ago from my then fiance. And then I talk about, for those who don't know, I'm telling them Dr. Gilbertson, who is a criminal justice professor and reality star from Oxygen Channel TV series Smiley Face Killers, The Hunt for Justice, that he was on with his New York homicide detective friends, discussing various drownings, homicide cases throughout America. I'm being thorough with notifying them so they can check us out, right?
Yep.
So then I say, number one, Harmony Montgomery is dead. She died years ago, not recently. She is a victim of domestic violence and she was murdered by a male who had physical access to her. Also, I don't want to read that part. I'm going to redact that. Number two, I'm going to redact out a few things that are a little disturbing. Number two, I see a male with brown hair that murdered her. He appears to be in his 30s. He has anger issues, thus abusive emotionally and physically. Mostly the latter. He drinks and or does drugs that contributes to his poor behavior. He has bad friends. They're losers and evildoers who are involved with criminal behavior. They do not care about being good or good things. It's a bad, evil group of men, really. I need to look at a photo of her father to rule him out, because I see he had physical access to her, which makes me lean towards her father. Number three, I'm going to redact that information. Number four, I said the murderer does not have a lot of money, just gets by. Conclusion. Number one, I just looked at Harmony Montgomery's father, Mr. Montgomery, a photo available online, who is perfect age. He is in his 30s and has brown hair. He had access to her physically as well. I just read the facts after working up this case using my prophetic gifts. I do not like prior info to be influenced in any way. I see that I absolutely believe that Harmony's Montgomery's biological father, who was arrested last week for, giving her a black eye, said a family member. I said, I see he is the man who murdered Harmony Montgomery. And then I said, number two, suggestion. Have your best interrogator interrogate her father about the fact he killed her. And then I'm going to redact some information. I'm just telling him to interrogate him. Okay? And say that they know that he murdered Harmony. Number three, suggestion. Separate wife and husband. Grill same story into wife to see if she may know details to crack info on husband. Pressure her too. If she confesses to info, they will go lighter on her sentence, something like that. Number four, suggestion. I want him to investigate the teardrop tat on his face. I have learned, and now you're a gang specialist, Dr. G. Mm-hmm. I have learned, I know that a teardrop can mean many things, But one of the things it can mean is that they've murdered someone. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's so. So I am wanting them to investigate this teardrop on his face. When was that teardrop tattoo done on his face? Was it after Harmony's missing? After she went missing? So I'm trying to give them something to do. If they can figure out who did that tattoo, go ask them and see if some inadvertent admission to killing his daughter was spoken of during that getting that tattoo. Need me further or want me to fly out to work the scene of this case confidentially, then contact me. I can work it up further in person if you want me to. Otherwise, know this concludes my work on Harmony Montgomery's case. Praying for your success. Rev Kymmi. And then I give all my details. My address, my cell, my email. Because we're talking by text, right?
Yeah.
And they wrote back immediately. Well, actually just a few minutes. They said, thank you. And I said, welcome. Praying for your success. Then I write him January 27th.
Yeah.
And I said, Chief, remember I sent you my prophetic analysis on Harmony Montgomery a couple of weeks ago? I am the Christian Reverend who has so-and-so, so-and-so as my reference among all law enforcement throughout America. I just saw everything I tipped to you is being affirmed, including domestic violence. Great job. I said, I expect you guys to arrest the dad next for her murder. Keep going and digging, meaning dig for evidence. I said, Mom may be the weak link to a confession. Reverend Kymmi.
Yeah. And you're talking about the stepmom, Kayla Montgomery. Yep.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And let's just jump ahead and give them a little tidbit. Guys, we just found out it's released information. It just came out at the end of October 2022 that the stepmother confessed to the police in June 2022. After, I guess, they did a search on the old apartment and we all saw them online and they had, refrigerators?
Yeah.
Going into that where they used to live in an apartment. And what did she say? What did the article say about her?
Well, according to the news article that was released on October 26th, 2022, newly filed court records indicated that Kayla Montgomery, Harmony's stepmother, was interviewed back in June 2022 by law enforcement investigators, and at that time she told them that Harmony had been murdered by her dad, her biological father, Adam Montgomery, in December 2019. And I have seen in other places now that they've narrowed that down to December 7th, 2019. And you will recall, back in your very first sets of emails to law enforcement, to the chief, you said that she had been murdered in December 2019.
Yeah, long ago.
Mm-hmm. A lot of what is coming out now, being released by the media, is affirming very much so the tips that you forwarded to the chief almost a year ago now, back in January. So I like to, that's very interesting, and we'll
now let's go back to where we were on the timeline.
But you'll find this quite interesting. If you recall, he spent some time in prison, 18 months, and during that time he supposedly, for that offense, he had shot some guy in the head. Well, as you stated, the teardrop, I would love to just ask him, what's it mean? It could mean sorrow, it could mean he was in jail, it could mean he murdered somebody. It depends upon the group he runs with and his context. So we need to find it, but more importantly is the question that you asked. When did he get that darn tattoo? When did it show up? I really don't think, if he thinks his child is missing, then why would he get a tattoo grieving her death? or is it for killing her so that he looks proud for others? Did he get it when he was in prison the first time, showing that, it's sorrow, I serve time? Very good questions. Tattoos are very unique in many cases. Don't assume when you see one that you know what it means. Okay, that's the end of my lecture as a gang specialist. Now, anyway, this guy is one violent animal. It's just crazy. Back in March 13th, 2022, this lady by the name of Kelsey Small, she was dating Adam Montgomery, Harmony's father, before his original arrest. Well, guess what? March 13th, 2022, she's found dead in Manchester. Really? So now, had he confided in her about what had happened to Harmony? I don't know. Why all of a sudden does she show up deceased? And I really can't find a whole lot online about her death. So, anyway, we'll continue with the timeline. We move into April now. You first reached out in January a couple times, really laid it out for him. Who done it? You told him who done it and when, basically.
Credit to God, really, because how do I know this information, right?
That's true.
God is telling me.
That's true, especially this specific.
Yes.
So April 3rd, 2022, what was included in your conversation, your exchange of information with law enforcement on that day?
Honestly, I'm just fighting for Harmony Montgomery. A lot of times, I feel like I'm speaking for the victims when they can't speak anymore. I'm fighting for her, for justice, and to help law enforcement go in the right direction from what it is that God is showing me, which I've done time and time again. If you go and look and hear some of the cases that we've shared and talked about, because I don't talk about every single one of them, guys. You're only hearing a handful. Right. So do you want me to read this next text message to the police chief?
Yeah. And then, of course, folks, there has to be some redactions because some of the information that God revealed through Rev Kymmi and was given to law enforcement is, as a forensic victimologist, let me say that I found it disturbing.
Yeah, it is disturbing information, so I'm going to redact information, including, of course, my confidential reference that is for only law enforcement. Okay, so here we are, April 3rd, 2022, and like I said, we're texting one another, the police department and myself. Hi, Chief. In Harmony Montgomery's case, remember me, Rev Kymmi, in California, and so is my reference among law enforcement. I Googled the case to see what's latest. Everything I told you has been affirmed thus far. Next, and only thing hasn't occurred, is finding Harmony Montgomery's body. Her dad did it, who you put in jail already for abuse and neglect. The rest is going to be redacted.
Okay.
Because it's disturbing. So here I am fighting and speaking up for, right? The dad did it. She's dead. Find her, right? Pushing. Nicely. They're really nice people, by the way. Really nice and polite. Easy to work with.
So that's April 3rd, right?
That was, April 3rd. Okay. Oh, and he wrote back. He said, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I said, welcome.
All right. So in between, let me jump in there. On April 4th, we see in the news, remember, he got arrested on something else, the black eye. April 4th, we see that Adam Montgomery, the stepdad, is arrested on new charges. I saw the headlines, and I'm like, oh, my God, thank you, Jesus. They got this rat. Well, I got the cart before the horse. It turns out he was arrested on new charges of theft, by unauthorized taking of allegedly stealing a rifle and a shotgun, 2 charges of receiving stolen property, and allegedly receiving and retaining the rifle and the shotgun, and possession of the rifle and the shotgun. Anyway, it wasn't for the murder of his daughter. So my steam went out of me. I was bummed. This rat got away again. April 5th, they thanked you. And then you had...
I have an April 3rd, 2022. I said, because he said thank you, and I said, welcome. I said, I'm still looking around online, because I'm looking online of possible burial spots. I said, we'll tell you significant info and not text bomb you. It's funny you say it to the police, right?
Yeah.
Not bomb you.
Blow their phone up.
Yeah. May work on it for a few days, not sure. He wrote back, any information is helpful. Thank you very much. I said, welcome, no problem. I do this for free for victims. I communicate with cops only because family cannot handle it. You guys can. He said, thank you. I said, I need to ask the Lord and go into prayer and worship for information.
Yeah. And what'd you tell him on April 6th?
Well, on April the 5th, I just want to back up. I wanted to make sure they really want information from me before I dig even deeper and try to look online of where I think her body might be.
Okay.
And so I'm asking him, I don't want to work hard, and you guys, if you guys aren't interested, let me know. Let me know if you're interested. And he said, thank you. Yes, I will pass the information along. So he clearly made it clear they're interested. Okay. So now April the 6th, 2022, I'm asking him if I'm thinking, online is not, on this particular case, because I can do it remotely, locate things.
Yeah.
But I felt to go in person. And so I was asking him if they're interested in me trying to locate Harmony Montgomery or not. Go fly there and stay in a hotel. And he wrote, detectives assigned to the case will reach out to you if they need further information or assistance from you. Thank you. I said, okie dokie. No, if I do get info from God where she is at, I will, of course, text you guys to know said information. I'm praying. God bless you all, Rev Kymmi. And then he had said thank you.
Okay. Then on April 12th, the stepmom, Kayla Montgomery, was charged with 2 counts of receiving stolen property in connection with those firearms. So nothing about the homicide of this poor girl yet, this poor baby. Let's jump forward in time here now. June 3rd, 2022, the stepmom is arrested for perjury. And we get down to, we're getting close in time here now. This is when police, now keep in mind, you told them that she was deceased, and up until this point,
they thought she was alive.
This was a missing persons investigation. They had previously searched a property that they had lived in, and now they went to 644 Union Street in Manchester, June 14th and 15th. We watched this in the news. I remember it's like, oh my goodness, because they were in there for a while. And they came out with a refrigerator all wrapped up, and it's like, oh my goodness, what have they gotten there for evidence? So that was June 14th and 15th, 2022. And on June 15th, you sent them, the chief, another text message. What did you tell him?
Yeah, I had seen, they've all along online said that they believe she was alive. And I think family did too. Everyone, of course, keeps the hope, right?
Yeah.
But I knew she was not.
Human nature. Yeah.
So here I am seeing them online and seeing them go inside this apartment. I don't know, right? None of us know what they're doing in there. We see a refrigerator going in, coming out, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so, this is a hard case, really, for law enforcement, having to go into this apartment. And I think what they did was they tore up the floors. I mean, how awful is this? They're looking for biological evidence that she died in that place, right? Blood or...
Yeah, and folks, if you read the charges, and...
Oh, he was just arrested a couple days ago,
yeah,
guys, the biological father, for her murder. It just happened.
If you read the charges, and you think about the fact that they had a refrigerator in there that they filled with evidence, you'll also see in the newspaper that they brought in a plumbing team. And I remember in one article they talked about a forensic plumber, which at first I kind of chuckled. Then I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. A forensic plumber. Did they remove the main drain? Did they remove the drain, the plumbing coming from the toilet in the bathroom? Did they remove the sewer pipe, the clean-out pipe, or whatever you want to call it?
Like I said, I know
and
that
then
they pulled up the
swab
floors.
it out. There might not be parts and pieces, but there should be DNA and blood in there. And is that where the forensic plumber comes in? And I would be willing to bet that once this gets to trial, that's what we're going to see. And if you read the indictment, and that's why we're not going to go over all that stuff. This poor little girl had to endure disabilities in life and an abusive father. And thank you, Jesus, that now she's at peace.
Yeah, so it's a horrible, it's super sad. Every single one of the stories, the true stories that we share, are heart-wrenching, but this is horrible.
Yeah, on August 11th.
And her own biological father did this to her.
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely incredible.
And he turns around and gets what? A teardrop tattoo?
Yeah, I hope he gets a lot more than that, and I'll reserve my comments there. On August 11, 2022, Attorney General John Formella for the state of New Hampshire said that investigators now believe that Harmony was killed in early December 2019, and he said that the investigation had now switched from a missing person to a homicide investigation.
Now I'm able to relax on my end. They finally, they've been digging. They're not, I think they're excellent. But, it takes time. Investigations take time, and I think they did a great job. But finally now, I can stop saying she is expired. And her dad did it. They have the evidence. They have the biological evidence from hitting that apartment. It took a few months to come out about it. When did they come out?
Oh, yeah,
in October?
They made the announcement August 11th, 2022.
2022.
And October 24th, just a couple of days ago, folks, the Attorney General for the state of New Hampshire says it was put in the newspaper that Adam Montgomery, the father, the biological father of this poor child, Harmony Montgomery, was facing 4 new charges. Not all this ridiculous stuff from his past, but 4 new charges. Second-degree murder for recklessly causing the death of Harmony. Falsifying physical evidence for altering, destroying, concealing, or removing Harmony's body. Abuse of a corpse for unlawfully removing, concealing, or destroying Harmony's body. And tampering with witnesses or informants by attempting to cause his estranged wife, Kayla Montgomery, to testify falsely. I hope this guy rots in prison.
So I see online the news feed on October the 25th, 2022. And now I can rest my case. And speaking for Harmony Montgomery and fighting for her and helping steer them in the right way by giving my prophetic tips. And I write them, the police chief again, Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. Dear police chief and detectives, in regards to Harmony Montgomery, you remember me as a tipster 1 year ago or so. My law enforcement reference is so-and-so, at whatever law enforcement agency. He's confidential, so I'm not going to say. Then I told you Harmony Montgomery was not alive and had been murdered by her dad years prior. You, quote, dug to prove she is dead. You found biological evidence, unfortunately, that she was dead. And now I see in the news online that you have finally arrested her father for this crime. I am crying. I'm sad. All I told you, the information from God was true. You guys did an amazing job digging for evidence. Now digging is in quotes. And finally able to arrest her dad for killing her. Hopefully my prophetic tips helped you. Rest in peace, Harmony. I am so sorry that this happened to you. Sweet girl. I fought for you, and thank God the detectives listened and they dug, in quotes, hard for the evidence. And then I go on to say that I've used this same Christian ministry prophetic gifts recently, tipping off Stockton Police Department about the, Stockton serial killer, Wesley Brownlee. And then I list a whole bunch of others, the Casey White and Vicky White helping Sheriff Rick Singleton. And so many other cases. And then I talk about to listen to our worldwide podcast and where to hear it. I said, if you guys need me for my prophetic gifts, call me. It's pro bono. Detectives use me all over America. God bless you all. Awesome job, Rev Kymmi. And rest in peace, Harmony Montgomery.
Yeah. And folks, this is not, by any stretch of the imagination, an anomaly, something that doesn't happen very often. We would hope that it would. I looked up some statistics online for us. I'm a forensic victimologist, a criminologist. There's a group called the American Society for the Positive Care of Children, the American SPCC. You can find their website and look up, because I'm not going to go over all of these incredible statistics. AmericanSPCC.org/child-maltreatment-statistics. I'm only going to highlight a few, and these are for 2020. 3.9 million child maltreatment referral reports were received in 2020. There were 7.1 million child abuse reports. 90.6% of the victims are maltreated by one or both parents. So this Harmony's case is not isolated. I'm going to skip down. 101,961 victims were physically abused, and that was 17.5% of all the victims. Roughly 58,000 victims, or 9.3% of all the victims. Children, these are children, folks, were sexually abused. 5 children die every day from child abuse. Think about that. 5 children. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as we know them as the CDC, you can go to their website and look at violence prevention / child abuse and neglect / fast facts. Child abuse and neglect are common. At least 1 in 7 children have experienced. Did you hear that? 1 in 7. 1 in 7. That's almost 1 per every other family, isn't it? 1 in 7 children have experienced child abuse or neglect in the past year in the United States. This is likely an underestimate because many cases are unreported. In 2020, 1,750 children died of abuse and neglect in the United States. That's in 2020. Now, I know from looking at the statistics, and we have talked about this, my friends who are victimologists, we think that some of these stats on domestic violence and abuse went down because everybody was quarantined. If you went to the police and complained, where were you sent? There was nowhere to go. They'd send you back home. And you're going to go back home to your abuser or just suck it up for another year until the pandemic is over? So I think these numbers are low. And I want you at this point to think about this. If you have any knowledge of this case or any others, go online, look up Crime Stoppers, look at your local police department. It's anonymous. You can submit a tip. They give you a number. You can call back and you can update it. You can check on your number. You may even qualify for a cash reward down the line. But get that information to police. These poor children need our help. In this particular case, and it's going to trial, and if you've got anything, if you saw anything, you never know, the smallest little detail. You saw him driving somewhere on December 7th, 2019 or whatever. Manchester Police Department's phone number is 603-668-8711. The lead investigator assigned to the case was Detective Jack Dunleavy, and you can call him at 603-792-5561. You can also contact Manchester Crime Line at 603-624-4040. Please act on this case and others.
Yeah. Recently I read, just a couple days ago, what they're doing is the leadership, the police chief and was it the district attorney? Yeah, the district attorney. They said that what they're doing is, and it's very nice, they said that, quote, "I ask that in memory of Harmony, that we all make every effort to do something nice for a child today." He continued, "I know of no other way to respect and honor." This is hard for me to read.
Yeah.
Hold on. "Respect and honor this innocent, defenseless child, then to extend an act of kindness to another child in her memory."
Yeah. That's tough. And in closing, I ask that you please go online, Google or whatever search engine you're using, Harmony Montgomery, and look at this sweet child's face and say a prayer for her and for the other children.
Her mom.
The other children who are experiencing
I can't imagine
abuse tonight.
What her mom is going through.
Oh, her poor mom, yeah.
So we just...
Gosh, we forget all about the poor mother.
Yeah.
gave birth to this child and have to go through this.
Yeah, and so we do. I just know in my heart that Harmony Montgomery is with Jesus.
Yes.
Because when children die and they're so young, they automatically go and they're with the Lord.
Yeah.
And so, but we do want her, of course, to rest in peace and have a good, a good outcome in court and to have justice.
Amen.
And we know she will, because she had a great team of law enforcement, as well as, that included FBI and who knows what else was involved on the case. I don't know. I try not to get too deep in the case because I just work prophetically and then try to detach. But obviously I haven't. So anyway, I just want to thank everyone for taking this time to spend with us and to listening about the behind the scenes of Harmony Montgomery.
Yeah. And like you said, you really got to hand it to law enforcement up there in this case. They listened to what God was giving them for insight. They acted on it. They went out and they closed. They got the culprit, we believe.
They worked really hard. I'm impressed.
In custody in under 3 years on a very, very difficult case.
Yeah, they did great at, quote, digging for evidence.
Hats off to Chief Aldenberg and
the whole team there.
Yep. Amen.
And being very polite to me, thank you.
Yep.
And kind, always professional.
Yeah. Amen. And
all right, so we thank you all very much for spending this time with us. And we will talk to you on a different episode, and God bless you.
Bye-bye.